Church of England bishops have decided that they won't allow their priests to conduct same-sex marriages. I mean, we've had about 5 or so years of consultations on this, and it really does kind of divide people as to whether or not this is all kind of progressive and should happen, or whether or not actually it's quite insulting to the religion and the kind of foundations of it. Where do you stand? Jo Phillips, I'll come to you first. Your thoughts?
Well, bearing in mind that it took 20 years from the beginning of the movement for the ordination of women to actually the first women priests being ordained, I think 5-6 years on this consultation to get to blessings of a civil same-sex partnership is lightning speed for the Church of England. It moves at a very, very slow pace. And I think, it is certainly not for me, as a non-religious and not member of the Church of England, to even begin to tell them how they should run their operations, because, the Catholic Church doesn't allow women priests, the Church of England does. I think this is some step towards progress. Obviously, there will be people who are disappointed that it doesn't go far enough, but what they're proposing is that if you have a same-sex civil partnership, civil ceremony, you can then go to church and have that a blessing.
And that's voluntary, by the way. No one's going to be forced into doing that.
Exactly,
They can opt out if
exactly.
They want to.
So I sort of think, it is some progress. It's not, as the Archbishop of Canterbury said earlier today, it's not as far as some people would have liked it to go. And as he also said, and it's probably too far for other people. But the Church of England is literally a broad church with very conservative views and very, modernising views. It's sad for gay Christians who feel, and many of them have been quoted after this announcement, saying that we're getting crumbs from the bishops, we're being second-rate. But it does seem to me that this is somewhere of a pragmatic, happy medium.
Ian has literally just a second emailed in saying the Church of England has forgotten the prime rule of commerce. The customer is always right. If they refuse to marry such couple, they cannot expect to see those customers again. Now, Ian makes a point. I mean, in the census that was conducted 2021 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think it was about 46% of people now identify as being Christian. So the faith, etc., it's on the decline in this country.
First time below 50%.
Yeah, it is on this decline. Does that mean that the church should be looking at ways of, oh, goodness me, how can I make myself more progressive and right on and all the rest of it in order to appeal to the next generation of people, or not?
Well, on the specific issue of gay marriage and, conducting gay marriages in church, I think that's a huge theological and philosophical debate to be had. And indeed, the modernisation of the church itself, I think, is a very complex affair. But at a very basic level, we discussed that census. I don't know if you recall, Michelle, the census came out the day I was on with you. And I was reluctant then to give examples of why I thought the church had alienated people. But it seems to me...
I do remember now, yes.
Yeah, I was reluctant to do it. And I didn't want to offend people. I'm not a hugely religious person, so I've got to be careful. I don't want to be one of those people telling the church what to do, not being a regular attendee myself. But it seems to me that as an institution goes, it either has some God-given tenets or it doesn't. And it seems to me Justin Welby has bent over too much in order to modernise the church. I mean, so much so that he gets involved in every potential issue which is nothing to do with him. So, he's got a view on Brexit. That's got nothing to do with the church. And can I just finish?
Carry on. Yeah.
And that's a good example of why he's alienated people. The majority of this country voted for Brexit. A dean at Trinity College, Cambridge, the other day said Jesus Christ has got the hallmarks of transgender. I mean, that's an absolute affront, I imagine, to anyone who holds their Christian values dearly. And the fact that this debate has been going on in the church for 5 to 6 years. Should we adjudicate gay marriages? Let me just put this into context. There are 250,000 gay couples married in the United Kingdom. That's 0.8% of the population. There are 6,000 gay marriages a year. If they can't get on happily with civil arrangements. It just boggles the mind. And I think this is an example, this is a really good example of woke, where a minority interest is being championed at vast cost to the exclusion of the majority's view. And, it's just a non-issue. The church shouldn't have wasted 5 to 6 years on the subject.